All right. You guys, thanks for jumping on for a little bonus VIP call here on this Wednesday night. I really wanted to kind of keep the conversation going from what we had last week on the transformation is longevity, that piece. And I just found it important to really just continue our mindset on this and just very, very quick review from last week. Remember, we talked about what transformation can look like, what it really is, the definition of how I kind of view transformation, and that it is that piece of truly experiencing transformation. It's transforming, it's transfiguration, it's changing from one thing to another. In the Greek, it's that word metamorpho. It's where we get metamorphosis, right? We talked about even that piece of like the caterpillar to the butterfly. We utilized the piece of the sand to the pearl. Somebody even typed in the coal to the diamond, right? The things that we have to go through under pressure to become our true self. And there's some nuance and some thought that I really think about on this, you guys, because there's the other piece I used, and I thought about this actually heavily days after. And I told you I was going to take it a little further with you, and that's what I want to do. I used that term. I said, not everything that you're doing now, today, you're going to have to do later, right? Some of the things we have to do now in order to grow. And I said, does a pearl go back to the depths of the sea after it becomes the pearl? And I really was thinking deeper on that because there is the nuanced piece to this that, in my heart of hearts, I believe is that none of you are transforming from sand to pearl. You're already all pearls, but you might be awakening to the fact that you are. And that's a piece I just don't believe we don't have to strive to be who you actually are. You are just awakening to that fact of who you are. And so it's more so of when I said that of, does a pearl go down to the depth back to, up to the down to the depths of the sea once they realize they're a pearl? It's more so of no, you're not going to go back to not being awakened to that fact. It's more so of this process is awakening to who you are. It's actually not you changing from sand to pearl. It's you just realizing you're already a pearl. And so that being said, it's kind of like, oh man, some of the things that I have to do now that seem challenging. And you're thinking like, God, do I have to do that forever? Like, let's just use tracking food as an example. The things that you're doing now that seem hard or difficult simply won't seem hard or difficult further down your journey. Because as you are realizing who you are, as you are being who you are, things get easier in that sense. Okay, so that's just I want you to think about that a little bit here this week. We also talked a little bit about some of our daily reflections and asking deeper questions. Why am I feeling the way that I'm feeling? What is a thought that serves me? So we're starting to change the way that we're thinking about things so we can actually make the changes that we need to make. That's that heart coherence I mentioned, that alignment piece that we're working on, asking those questions. And that's a big piece I want to continue on tonight. And so let's kick this off really quick with just a couple good breaths to get present in that moment. We did that last week too. Remember, we did the 5 second in, the hold, and the 7 second out. And so let's just do that a few times through here, kind of get present in the moment. I'll lead you through it again. Just big breath in the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. And coming back out. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And big breath in for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold. And just releasing that in 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. So just taking those deep breaths, getting present moment, pausing. This is a great reflective piece that I just want you guys to get used to doing as you're just in one of those hot spots in the day or in that space where you're just not feeling it. Get present in that moment. And so I wanted to touch on, to expand on last week, this little story. I think this is going to help relate. Stories really help me. I'm out in our gym practicing with my daughter. She's working on developing a jump shot. And for an 11-year-old girl who wants to may have a really nice jump shot, that's tough. But she's been working on it really hard. And she's gotten very consistent. She also is pretty talented. She makes a lot of shots. And we were out there the other day and she probably missed 15 to 20 shots in a row. And for her, that's pretty rare. We're not shooting from very far back. And so for her to miss that many in a row without getting a make in there somewhere, pretty rare. And I said to her, I was like, why do you keep missing? And she had to stop and think about it for a second. She's like, I don't know. Well, like, what do you mean? And I said, why are you missing? And she goes, I don't know. My fingers feel right. I'm in alignment with the rim. She's all, she's going through it, all the stuff that I've been teaching her. And then, she then walks through it and she feels it and she goes, oh, it's my base. She goes, I'm not pushing through my toes as I'm coming up. So she's realizing and feeling what's wrong. Okay. So how many of you oftentimes you can realize when you actually pause, can you realize and feel something that's maybe a little off or out of alignment, out of that heart coherence? And so I said, okay, make the adjustment. And so we can often know what's wrong and still not make the adjustment. The adjustment still has to come into realization. All the way back on our first big call of the year, if you go back and listen to that, what was something that I said? I said, it's bringing the subconscious into the conscious. It's bringing light into darkness. It's same thing. And so we have to pause. That's how we start to think. And that's how we start to change the way we think. That's how we start to change our actions. It's you already are. You don't have to try to be something different. You already are, but it's waking up to the fact that you are. That takes the pause. That takes realizing and then taking the action to make the adjustment, adjusting it. And so apply this in any area. Obviously, our health and our fitness, part of why each one of you are here. Obviously, our mindset. The biggest piece to this coaching is changing the way that we think. I was thinking about this today. It's like, what are some of my core pieces in my coaching? And for me personally, it is always challenging and changing the way that I think about things that continue to go deeper in alignment to who I am. And obviously, you guys know me with for all of you guys who like you guys know it's for how I view that God views me. And so we have to also that's part of our heart change and our mind change is that we can view ourselves differently than what the reality is of how we're viewed. That's part of the heart mind coherence that I'm talking about right there. And so as we continue to grow in that, that's that piece is, hey, by taking these actions, by pausing and but continuing to grow the way that I think, I can then be more of who I already am. Okay, that's some of that nuance that we just have to continue to grow in. Can you go help her quick? And so let's end it with this. I want to challenge you guys with just a couple thoughts as we're going. So if you're driving, still do the breathing. I want you guys, let's go back into the breathing to end this. And I'll just bring up a few pieces and tie every adjustment in. So take that deep breath. We're taking 5 in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. And there's exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more time. And 5, 4, breathing in. 3, 2, 1, and hold. And exhaling here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I want you to continue. Go and breathe in. Continue that. And just be thinking as you're breathing in here, get your hold, breathing back out. where do I need to pause and make an adjustment? And ask yourself that this week, where do I need to pause and just make an adjustment? This doesn't have to be some major life shift for you. Keep breathing. But what is that one thing? There's a reason I ask you guys in some of your questionnaires is what is your goal for the week? What is your goal today? Take this a little step further though. When I ask you that, when you're answering it, does that align with your big goal? And so, for some of you, if you feel like, hey, man, I got in a rut or I just haven't been on par, that's okay. Think about the conversation me and you had on that first call when you're telling me your goals. Have your goals shifted? Ask yourself that. Have my goals shifted? You don't have to feel guilty if your goals have shifted, but realign with what your goal is today. Realign what's most important to you today. Then that's going to help continue that keeping you in alignment. You don't have to strive to be in alignment. Keep breathing. You just need to ask yourself the better questions. That's why I'm bringing up these questions. That's why I'm bringing up why am I feeling this way? What's a thought that can actually serve me? And then remember, we can affirm it. I know I'm not huge on affirmations, but like I said last week, sometimes you need to tell yourself what the truth is. And sometimes you need to say, hey, I trust my process of transformation and I'm doing it differently this year. I'm doing it differently this time. I believe that's why every one of you is in the room because you're choosing to do it differently this time versus just the same old, same old. Sometimes that affirmation for some of you guys is literally just being like, you know what? Like, I'm not a piece of shit. Because some of you guys grew up having people tell you you're a piece of shit, and it's not true. And sometimes that affirmation is just telling yourself that I'm not, and that I deserve the best. And so that just going a little deeper with you here on that, affirm those things that you know to be true, because you need to hear you. Guess who hears the words that come out of your mouth first? Yourself, because it's in your brain. That's just part of this transformation. That's part of our mind continuing to expand. And I'll end it with this. This is part of this. A lot of you are looking in the mirror and expecting the mirror to smile back at you, but you're not smiling into the mirror. The mirror's not going to smile back until you smile at the mirror, right? And so it starts it's going to come back to you. So sometimes it's just saying it. And sometimes it's just you being audacious enough to believe it because it's true. So let's carry this piece again into next week. Let's carry those same pieces. Ask yourself the deeper questions. Breathe for a couple seconds. Center up. Where's my alignment? Have my goals shifted, or actually my goals still are the same? I haven't actually been thinking about them. Oh yeah, that's easy to do. I do it too. I'm like, oh, actually, like I haven't even been thinking about my goals. And I'm not saying you have to be so goal obsessed, but they're important to you. There's a reason why you're feeling certain ways and wanting to accomplish certain things. So some of those things need to be realigned to stay in our alignment. And remember this piece, that inspiration piece that we talked about a month or so ago. We don't have to look for the motivation because the inspiration, the inner breath, remember what inspiration means, in and then spire is that breath or spirit, the breath and spirit within us. So what that word, how that word was made, the root words of that is what is your forever fuel source. Whereas the motivation, right? You run out the next day. Difference between being motivated and inspired. So continue to be inspired and be looking inside for those answers for yourself. So remember, just like last week, take these last 10, 15 minutes, and even if it's 5, and just continue this little thought process. Think one thing. Think, what's that one thought that's going to serve me for the rest of the week? What's that one piece that might continue to grow and change the way that I think? So just take the intentional next 5, 10 minutes that we've reserved for ourselves on the call and do that so we continue to grow. Keep the conversation going with me if you'd like in the chat, on the app if you need it, so I can help. You guys, thanks for jumping on the bonus call tonight. I'll get this posted up for you as well, and hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. We'll talk to you guys next week.